It all started as just another ordinary day at school. The morning bell had rung, and kids rushed to their classrooms, chattering about homework, weekend plans, and their favorite video games. Among them was Jason, a quiet 12-year-old boy who never caused any trouble. He wasn't the loudest or the most popular, but he was a good kid, one who always listened to his father and tried his best to do well in school. But lately, something had changed. His once bright eyes now carried a hint of sadness, and he walked into class every day with a heaviness that no child should ever have to bear. He'd sit at his desk, gripping his backpack tightly, as if it held some terrible secret, and in a way it did. Every morning, before he could even settle into his seat, Mr. Reynolds, the teacher everyone respected, would walk over to him. No greetings, no small talk, just a quiet, firm look as he stretched out his hand. Jason knew what it meant. Without hesitation, he would reach into his pocket, pull out whatever money he had, and place it in the teacher's hand. Mr. Reynolds would nod, tuck the money into his pocket, and continue the lesson as if nothing had happened. At first, Jason didn't understand why. Maybe it was some kind of school rule. Maybe all kids had to give money to their teacher. But as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, he realized something was terribly wrong. He was the only one. None of the other kids had to do this. Only him. His father, Daniel, a hard-working single dad, started noticing something was off. Jason had always been careful with his allowance, saving up for small treats, a new comic book, or a snack from the store. But suddenly, he never had any money left. Whenever his dad gave him cash for lunch or a little extra for a fun day at school, it was gone by the evening. When Daniel asked, Jason would mumble a weak excuse or just say he spent it. But the truth was, he was too scared to tell the real story. One evening, after watching his son sit at the dinner table, barely touching his food, Daniel decided enough was enough. He wasn't the kind of father to ignore signs like this. Something was clearly wrong, and he was going to find out what. That night, as Jason lay in bed, his father sat in the living room, thinking, why was his son so quiet? Why did he flinch every time he asked about school? And most importantly, why was his money disappearing? Then a thought hit him. What if someone was taking it? The next morning, Daniel woke up earlier than usual. He packed Jason's school bag himself, making sure everything looked normal. But this time he added something extra, something small, hidden just beneath his books. He zipped up the bag and called Jason for breakfast. Jason, still half asleep, didn't notice anything different. He picked up his backpack like always and headed out the door, not realizing that today would be unlike any other, because today his father had set a trap. As Jason walked into class, heart pounding like it did every morning, Mr. Reynolds was already waiting. The moment Jason took his seat, the teacher walked over, stretching out his hand once again. Jason swallowed hard, knowing he had no choice. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the cash, and placed it into the teacher's palm. But what neither of them knew was that something else was in Jason's bag, something that would change everything. And when Daniel finally got the call he'd been waiting for, he knew this was the moment the truth would come out. But what exactly did Jason's father hide in his backpack? And how would it expose the teacher's dark secret? Stay tuned, because what happens next will shock you. Jason had no idea that today would be different. To him, it was just another day of handing over his pocket money and pretending like nothing was wrong. He sat at his desk, trying to focus on the lesson, but his thoughts were racing. He didn't know how much longer he could keep this secret from his dad. Mr. Reynolds, as always, acted like nothing had happened. He taught the class with the same calm, authoritative voice, never showing a hint of guilt. To everyone else, he was just a strict but fair teacher. The kind of man parents trusted, the kind of teacher students feared but respected. But to Jason, he was something else entirely. Jason didn't remember exactly when it had started. It had been so gradual, so subtle at first. Maybe it was the day he forgot to bring his homework, and Mr. Reynolds told him he needed to be more responsible. Maybe it was when he stayed after class for help with math, and the teacher gave him a long, searching look before asking if he had any lunch money left. The first time it happened, Jason thought it was a one-time thing. Maybe Mr. Reynolds needed it for something important, but then it happened again and again until it became routine. He never dared to ask why. He never dared to say no.